Brian.
Lori G.
John Cutler.
Craig Smith.
Bob Wilbar.
And if everyone would join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have two upcoming meeting dates, one on May 19th and another on June 2nd. We have several sets of minutes to approve tonight. Let's see, bear with me here. So do I have a motion to approve the minutes for October 21st?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? It looks like I think we were all here. Yep. Okay. The next set of minutes is November 18th. And myself, Michael, John Cutler, Steve, and Bob were here. So do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And any abstentions? Craig, I think.
Just me.
Yep. Craig's abstaining for that one. Okay. And then December 6th, let's hold out because I have Pam on my sheet. It says December 16th. I just want to make sure. Is that the right? It's the 6th. Okay. Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the December 6 minutes? Myself, Michael, John Cutler, John Hutzko, Craig, Steve, and Jason were here.
So moved.
I have
Second.
a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. And Bob, you'll
I
abstain
abstain,
from that
yes.
one? Thank you.
All right. We're caught
Okay,
up to
and
2015.
I know, welcome to 2015. The next one is January 20th. This one, myself, Jason, Mike, both Johns, Craig, and Steve were here. So do I have a motion to approve the January 20th minutes?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
And I abstain.
Bob, thank you, Bob. Great. Okay. The next item on our agenda is a bond reduction for Hopewell Glen Phase 5.
Did you want to do February 3rd or the
Oh, I'm sorry.
Second line.
Oh, wow, we're on a second line. I apologize, guys. I can
We're
read
going back
tonight.
before I even joined the planning board. for God's sake.
All right. Apparently, I haven't done this in a while. I'm sorry about that. Rough winter. All right. Forgive me. Going back to the approval of minutes, February 3rd, we had me, Mike, both Johns, Craig, Steve, and Jason were here. So do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
And a second. All in favor? Aye.
And I abstain.
And thank you, Bob. If I can trouble you one more time. All right, and then February 17th, I was not here for that one. So Michael, Jason, both John, Steve, and Bob were here. So do I have a motion for those?
So moved.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll abstain from those.
And I abstain as well.
And Craig, you abstain as well. Thank you. Great. Okay, now we're caught up. Our first agenda item after the minutes is a bond reduction for Hopewell Glen Phase 5 on Fishkill Hook Road. This is a request to reduce the bond from $1,455,300 to $290,200, which is, I think, the minimum for maintenance.
And excuse me, just
Oh,
there's
I'm
a
sorry.
correction Joe pointed out. It should be 291,100.
291.
100.
100.
100, okay.
What's the difference?
There was a revision made in the table in a later version by that same amount. So Joe picked up.
But that still represents the 20%
Yes,
maintenance
right.
requirement. Okay. All right, excellent. Scott, anything we should discuss with this? Or Joe?
Nothing in particular. As I said in the memo, just as a status update, they have 77 COs, 87 building permits. Their erosion controls in good order. So they're just in good standing.
Okay. All right. Any questions or comments from board members?
There was a memo from Rick Witt, and I assume that was supporting.
Yes.
He didn't come out at the end and say, therefore, I approve, blah, blah,
If
blah.
you've seen Rick's memo, that's supportive.
Okay.
No further
Okay.
questions.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the bond reduction for Hopewell Glen Phase 5 to $291,100?
So moved.
Second.
And a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. That's approved. Thank you, Scott
Thank you.
and Joe, for putting that together. All right, the next item on our agenda is a discussion item for Bonanno 4 lots on Mountaintop Road.
Question right out of the chute. Some of the materials say 3 lot,
It
some
is
say 4.
3. It's 3.
I think it was originally a 4 and maybe it went
Originally a
down to
4.
3.
Nope, I think it's always been 3.
Okay.
Probably as long as Insight's been on, it's been 3.
I think
but
it is
started.
3.
It started out with more lots originally.
I thought so, okay,
Okay.
yeah.
It's been so long.
Yeah, the agenda
And
says
if we
4.
can just make sure that's up on the screen as well. Thank you. I'm sorry, Mike?
Okay.
Yeah, I think there was an additional lot.
Hi, my name is Jamie Keeper from Insight Engineering, Surveying and Landscape Architecture. I'm here on behalf of the Bananos for the Banano subdivision. As we've clarified, as Insight's been part of the project, it's been a 3-lot subdivision. There is an existing house on the property, and 2 additional lots are proposed. They're located to the west of the existing lot, the existing house, rather.
Sorry, hold on one second, we lost the last part of what you said there.
Sorry.
They're located west of the existing house. The property itself is located on Mountaintop Road. It also corners Old Stormville Mountain Road.
Okay.
We've addressed the comments from the board previously supplied to us, and then we did receive additional comments, which we will address in the next submission.
Okay.
It's been around for a while, I think.
Joe, anything we need to go over on this one, or anything specific we need to call out as far as since the last time we saw this?
I think Insight did address most of the comments. We do have some stormwater comments yet to be resolved. I know they've done some soil perk testing, and I believe Brendan's office at one time looked at the site distance for the driveways, the 2 proposed driveways. So we had just a couple of minor comments about, they're proposing to use boulders for spacing, or put along the 100-foot wetland buffer.
Okay.
So it's more a matter of, they space them at 100 feet now if we wanted to see that tightened up.
Okay.
Or if you'd rather prefer fencing than boulders, but I think we had discussed another time that we were satisfied with boulders being used.
I think I'm fine with boulders. I'm not sure 100 feet apart will make a very good barrier, though. I'm not sure that'll be clear. Tom, we still put something in the deeds as far as wetlands, and
Yes.
so it's not like someone purchasing the property wouldn't know they've got wetlands in them. Okay.
On that note of the boulders, the old stone wall that's represented here, is that actually out in the field?
Yes, it is
So I
existing.
don't know whether or not, being that the septics go through them, or at least one does, and the expansion of another area does, maybe that wall can be relayed in part to form that boundary.
I believe
I
it's,
think it would be more definitive.
I believe it's part of the expansion in Dutchess County, and Joe maybe can help me with this answer, but I don't believe that you have to actually put the fill down for the expansion area, so we wouldn't be actually disturbing that area.
And what the point is that if you relocated those stones, you've already got a nice source of rock there, it seems like. That a lot of it's going to be disturbed, regardless between your footing drains, your curtain drains, your septic. By the time you grade this, a lot of that, without going into the wetlands, is going to be disturbed. So in order to have more and more positive buffer, that's a suggestion.
Okay.
So you mean to utilize the stone that we are moving?
The stone wall that exists there, rather than just
Okay.
wasting it,
Sure.
relaying
Sure.
it for a buffer. Again, I haven't seen it with my own eyes, that's why I asked if it exists as represented here on the sheet.
Yes, it does.
No, I think if we can recapture something like that, it's a good use.
Doesn't that get kind of expensive to relay a wall?
What's that?
Doesn't it get kind of expensive to move and relay a wall?
Well, it's cheaper than buying it. What would you like for a buffer?
I know big boulders would be cheaper. I know
But
when
at
you
100
rebuild one of
feet,
those walls.
It's cheaper if you put them 100 feet apart, but I don't know what you're accomplishing at 100 feet.
That's
apart.
true. I'm just wondering if the applicant would be better off with boulders closer together and just reuse the rock that's moved when they disturb the fields, because I know rebuilding a wall is quite a bit of effort. I've attempted it.
Yeah, well, I don't think you need to lay it up in a
I'm thinking about
aesthetically
relaying it
pleasing
as,
and
here it
aesthetically
stood, yeah,
vertical
rebuild
wall.
it
I
that
think
way.
just to, chuck them in a row, and that becomes your buffer.
Okay, that's a different, okay,
Yeah.
different interpretation.
Thank you for the clarification.
Just to answer her question about the fill, that is my understanding as well. You wouldn't necessarily have to put the fill in now or disturb that area. You could wait till a later time. I mean, they're showing that even for the existing house to do that. But since this is within the DEP watershed, if you're doing this disturbance now, it might be easier just to do all future disturbance at the same time so that you're not then having to go back with after the lots are sold, that those owners then have to do something later with DEP.
There's a 5,000 square foot disturbance limitation,
Yeah.
It's a consideration.
I know Bonanno can sell the lots, but I believed he was doing the subdivision so his children and heirs could move in and build houses in that place originally.
I don't know that that is still the intent.
Okay.
I believe that they're looking more towards selling off the 2 lots
Okay.
at this time.
Thank you.
Take these roads in this place.
Okay.
Take the-
Joe, back to the fill. Your comment letter says it's about 500 cubic yards. My question, and actually maybe this is more of a technical question, but is the fill spread across the 3 lots? So we're sure that any one lot's not receiving or receiving more than the 375, or is it all going in one place?
It seems to be spread among the 2 newer lots, and it's a little bit difficult because a lot of the grading that they're showing is for the septic systems, which are excluded.
Which gets netted, right, okay. Okay. If it was all going on one lot, do they still get the credit for having 3 lots, even if they're putting all the fill on one, or is it per lot? Do we know how I just don't know what the code requires.
Run that by me again, please.
So let's say they're putting 500 yards on one of these 3 lots.
I believe it's per lot.
It's per lot.
So you can bank it.
Yeah.
So even though they've got 3 lots, if all 500 were going on one lot, they'd still have the cut and fill permit that's
Right.
required. Okay. So
You
we're
get
confident.
375 per lot allocated, so they have 3 lots. That would give them up to, I guess, 1,000 thereabouts, so they have 500.
They couldn't put all 1,000 on one lot, or they could? That's my question.
Again, the point is, do you get 1,000 for the project? or
I
is it
believe you do,
literally
because
per
it's a
lot?
subdivision.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That was my question. So
It's
if
just
we're
like the
only at
larger-
500.
It's just like the larger projects.
My point is, if we're only at 500 and we know they would get 375 for each, then
Yeah.
we're well,
Tom, do you have any? I don't believe they need a permit. No, it says. Now, once they file the map and you have 3
That's
individual
different.
lots, you
Okay.
cannot now come put 500 on one, but prior to filing the map.
if that's the plan, then it's
Yeah.
fine. Okay, all right, thank you.
So that should just be clear, that it's prior to filing the map.
Okay. Okay. Did we have a comment letter from AKRF? Okay. No, I'm assuming no outstanding issues or items? Are we at the point where we schedule this for a public hearing, or was there something else we needed?
I believe the public hearing was already scheduled, opened and closed in the prior portion of the application.
Yeah, I was going to ask
Okay,
about.
so,
Go ahead.
then I guess my question is, what's in front of us tonight? Because I have it on my agenda as a discussion item.
I believe we're just updating you on what we've accomplished thus far and addressing the current comments. We have submitted to the Health Department and to the DEP, and
Okay.
we're waiting for comments back from them.
Okay, so do we need an extension on an approval then, or are we? I'm just not
I think
familiar
they
with the
have
status on it. It's been a
preliminary-
while since we've seen it, so. Okay,
No, nothing's expired. Basically, this is just an update.
okay, all right. It's been a while since we've seen this one, so forgive me, I wasn't familiar with what it was doing on the agenda.
We were hoping to have the DEP and Health Department comments back by now. They're being
Okay.
slightly stubborn.
Do you know how long you're expecting that to take? I mean, we've had a couple things in front of us where the DEP was a pretty lengthy process.
I'd like to say we could have comments back from them and have them addressed within the month, but
Okay.
recent experiences have pushed us past that, so I can't necessarily give you a exact date.
Okay.
So is that how this process works? I mean, basically, we did a public hearing, and again, this was in 2012, I believe,
Right.
right? And then, so for 3 years, it kind of just, I mean,
That's why I'm asking what the status of the application
Yeah,
is,
but
because I'm
I'm
not
asking what the
familiar enough with it
process
to
is.
know.
right.
Well, for almost 2 years, it was dormant. We had to come back prior to the 2-year mark so that we didn't have to come back with a whole new application, which we did so back in September, I believe, which basically started our clock back over again. Since we've taken it over, we've pushed it further along the process. But yes,
But we did that, right?
right.
Okay.
So it was reaffirmed.
So this was a neg deck, but never an actual decision made on the plan?
They may have received preliminary approval. And then sometimes I think you could have a second hearing, I think, when you come to final planning approval. Just
So how long
depends on
has the
nature.
preliminary approval been extended through? Do we know?
I don't think we have preliminary approval.
I'm sorry, I thought Joe just said there was preliminary approval. Do we know what the status of the, just where are we with this one? I'm sorry, I want to just make sure because I don't want to send you away and then have you have to come back in 2 weeks because we have to extend you or something like that. Let's just make sure we know where you are.
Sure.
Joe, do you have, you don't have a copy of the preliminary, do you?
No, I'm just kind of going from memory on
Okay.
this one.
For some reason, I thought this
I
had to
do
come back
remember.
through and be rescheduled for a public hearing. I thought it ended up not needing to
We
be
might have thought that
reheard.
based
but-
on, if there was significant comment from the other agencies, we may have reserved a public hearing depending on
Okay.
what they made them go through.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Bear with us for a moment, we're just
That's
going to
okay.
double check.
I think from my understanding of it, of where we were in the process, the public hearing had been opened under the former engineers. It was closed under those engineers, and then when we took over, we just had to come back before, I believe it was November, when the cutoff for the 2-year mark hit, and then you'd have to basically come back with a brand-new application. Since then, the project hasn't really changed all that significantly since the public hearing. So we're just, tonight, just basically updating you on where we are since we first came back to you in September.
Tom, you don't have notes on this one or where it is, do you? Okay.
Those on for discussion.
Since we have time,
Well, because I thought it was back because it never got to the point where it had a decision, so I thought we had to re-advertise and, I'm sorry, Mike, go
I
ahead.
was going to say, since we have the time, what changes have there been?
Well,
One of the
here comes the
driveways.
chicken.
tricky question. Oh, look, there's
One of the
Pam.
driveways was relocated.
Hurry, Pam. No. We've actually designed the stormwater infrastructure. It was not designed previously. We revised one of the driveway locations on the inside. The curb cut is still the same. It's just we maneuvered it so you can actually back up a car now. And I believe we shifted one of the houses slightly, and I don't have an answer as to which one those are, but they were not significant changes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so,
Just declared lead agency, we got this neg deck in April of 13.
so we're 2 years and a month past that. It's been a while since the public has seen this, but the plan isn't significantly changed. I know we have,
May I give you a question, a new sunset provision? Is that-
I didn't hear you, Tom.
Well, what happened is the town board amended the zoning ordinance to say if an application isn't before the board for a period in excess of 2 years.
2 years.
Trying to remember, 2 years, that then it has to be a new application unless they come before the board. So I think the reason it's on for discussion is the applicant wants to
Right.
stay within that statute and not, because
Right.
as you know, we have many projects that date back to the early
Right.
2005, and they go away forever and come back.
Okay.
Now, many of them will not be affected because you can't retroactively do this.
So I want to make sure that well, first, I understand what we're doing here, but also just to make sure that the applicant understands what the rest of the process is going to look like. We gave them a neg deck, but because it's been, and I understand and you came to us well before the end of the 2-year period. I know we're
Correct.
maybe a month past that now, but you had requested this before
Well,
your time
we'd already
expired.
come before you before that 2-year mark.
Okay.
So this is the second time I'm before you.
Okay, so I just want to make sure though, Tom, is it appropriate that the board schedules an additional public hearing now that it's been so long since anyone has seen it? Or are we able to?
Well, if there's been significant change to the proposal that was vetted publicly, that's certainly probably within your purview, but.
Okay. This doesn't appear to have been changed
Still a
significantly to me.
three-lot subdivision, it was, advertised at that.
Okay.
If there were comments, I don't remember if there were.
Okay,
They would all be about 3 lots.
okay. And I don't think there's been significant changes unless anyone on the board feels there were significant changes. It seems the same to me.
When was the wetland flagging done?
I'll take a look, because I
I
don't
think it
know.
was,
Not more than 10 years.
no.
November 2011.
Okay, so it's current.
Yes.
Okay. So then, as a next step, Tom, we're waiting for the DEP approval before we put this on for decision. Is that correct?
I don't think, I guess they don't want to get your approval until the DEP decides as to what issues, what changes might have to happen, because.
That's why I said after the DEP approval,
I mean,
then
but
we
you
would be
could
scheduling this for
theoretically
decision.
Put it on for a decision for
Okay.
preliminary approval, subject to the DEP. I mean, has DEP, it doesn't have any other comments, or
We're waiting on their comments. Yeah.
I'm just still waiting?
Yes. I mean, could we do a preliminary approval with conditions of the DEP's approval and health departments?
That's the usual way.
Right, I'm trying to figure out why we didn't do that before. I'm not clear why we didn't, so
I believe we had additional comments to address with
I know,
the
but we
town
normally
engineers
would
the last
condition
time.
if our professionals have documented what the changes are, and the changes aren't significant to what the public might have viewed in the plan, then we would normally have moved to a preliminary, so, okay. So,
Why don't we check the minutes, and if for nothing else, you can put it on your next meeting for decision. And
for preliminary decision, and it would be subject to your DEP, so if the DEP comes back and needs substantive changes, then the board would make the decision at that point
check
before
the
issuing
minutes to
final.
get handle
Okay.
on it.
Okay, that's fine.
That works?
So we'll schedule you, bear with me.
Excuse me, Roy. I'm curious,
all right,
when
Mike.
did you file with the DEP? I mean, has it been 3 years since they've,
Less than a month,
okay,
3 weeks, I believe.
okay.
So
Same with the health
you
department.
could probably put it on for a June meeting for decision. I mean,
Yeah.
It sounds like
The end of June.
a rush.
Yeah, either June 2nd or June 16th. If you think you'd have your DEP comments back, it could be a preliminary and final approval. Otherwise, we'd need to understand that you don't have your comments back, and we'd have to,
Can we schedule for the second? And if by chance they don't give us comments back, we
June 2nd?
let you know?
June 2nd.
Okay. So we'll put this on our June 2nd agenda for preliminary approval. If you have your DEP comments back and there aren't substantive changes to your plan, we'll make it preliminary and final at that time. And in the meantime, we'll check the minutes and make sure that we've got all the ducks in a row.
Okay,
All right.
great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda, and I'm sorry, just bear with me one second while I write this down on me. All right, the next item on our agenda is Stewart's Shops on Route 52. This is for, right now, for declaration of lead agency and to set a public hearing. Members of the board, you know that we had already set a public hearing for Stewart's. Unfortunately, they did not meet the required sign posting and public notification, so their letters didn't go out in time, their signs didn't go up. At this time, the applicant has requested that we not schedule a new public hearing date. They're looking at a few additional things. They're not ready. He agreed to come back for an additional discussion with us prior to setting another public hearing. So with that in mind, I guess if any members of the board have questions, we can declare lead agency tonight, but we're not ready to set a new public hearing yet. questions? Okay. So do I have a motion to declare lead agency for the Stewart's Shops on Route 52 application?
So moved. Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. And again, this will come back on for discussion. It's on one of our future agendas, and at that point, we would actually set a public hearing date in the future after that. So, okay. The next item on our agenda is a similar situation with the Chase Bank amended site plan. This also has had the lead agency comment period expire, and unfortunately, they were scheduled for a public hearing, but did not again meet the advertising and the sign posting requirements. So the applicant has requested to be rescheduled to June 2nd. And we would also we can declare lead agency tonight, but they've requested to reschedule their public hearing for June 2nd. So, questions or comments from board members?
Yep.
Okay. Do I have a motion to declare lead agency for the Chase Bank amended site plan?
So moved. Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And any questions before we reschedule the public hearing? Okay, and Pam, our applicant, has been notified of the notice requirements and understands it's pretty tight if we do the June 2nd date. Okay, all right, so, thank you. So do I?
Is that within the minimums?
Yes, yeah, it's a 25-day notice. They have to be up by 25 days ahead of time, so there's a few days left to get that done. So do I have a motion to schedule the Chase Bank amended site plan public hearing for June 2nd?
So moved. Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. That is the end of our agenda for the evening. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
The second? Anybody? Second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
She's got your baby.